Hello and welcome to the VideoGamer UK podcast. How is everyone?
It's one of those days, isn't it? It's really cold in here still. Have they got a thing about the heating bill or something?
No, there's just no heater in here. This is the room,
think about it.
The room that time forgot.
It is the coldest room.
Yeah,
in Croydon.
Exactly.
Every part of me is shrivelling right now.
It's even colder than the police station, which is quite cold.
It's probably colder than like the cracked dens and stuff.
Yeah.
Today I'm joined by Stephen Burns.
Hello.
He's that middle class wanker.
He is. The smug British.
I'm back from hiatus, from shooting in the country.
Is that actually what you did?
No.
I'm not sure I like
What did I do?
I can't wait for that guy to comment who always complains when you're on and then like he's all right when you're not. But he has to say something every time.
Well, you know what?
It's like, when you're on, I'm sick of that posh twat.
More power to him.
When you're not
We're all
there,
allowed
it's like, I'm
opinions.
so glad I didn't have to listen to that.
That's fine.
That bell end Burns.
For his birthday, I'm going to find out where he lives and then just break into his house.
It's quite impressive, though, that like every Wednesday, you know that there's someone out there that has really strong opinions about you. Every Wednesday, it will change how
whether you're on or not.
Whether or not you're
exactly. Wakes up thinking, right.
This is the one.
Let's find out, shall we? It's sort of like being a football fan and not wanting a certain player to play because you think they're shit. Except I'm not shit.
I desperately search for any kind of football reference to fit into that. But
Tom Cleverley. Okay,
yeah.
Off we go.
He's not very clever, is he? We're joined by David Scammell.
Of course we are. I mean, when are you ever not?
And Jim Trinket.
All right.
How's it going? You all right?
Yeah,
Good.
Not too bad at all.
Well, I guess...
Ecstatic.
Don't ask the question, what have you all been playing this week?
Well, that makes this podcast very difficult.
But it also makes it very predictable.
But it's a podcast...
If you were to do that, I mean.
About video games.
Every podcast does that.
It's the VideoGamer UK podcast. It's in the name.
Yeah, but every single podcast out there starts off by one fucking head bell end at the top of the table. Asks the other bell ends.
You
say that, but I also see complaints from people going, why does it always take every video games podcast 20 minutes to get into talking about video games?
Because of this, right?
Who was that? That was actually someone quite big, wasn't it? There was a developer that said that. And it's like, shut the fuck up, mate, and get back to fucking making your shit game, cunt.
Blimey.
I think that might separate this one from the rest.
Right, I'll tell you what we should do. Let's play the...
He's probably the guy commenting on the video.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, let's do it the other way around. What games have we not been playing? Because, obviously we have access to a lot of video games.
I think we did this quite recently.
And there comes a point...
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but... Let's just, what pornography have we been watching then?
I'll tell you what we haven't been playing, Dying Light.
Oh, he dodged that one.
He did dodge it.
Why haven't we been playing Dying Light?
I don't know. Some people seem quite excited about it. I don't know. I've had my fill of zombie games that are on islands with that kind of...
It's a quick question. Is Dave's mic up louder than everyone else, or is Dave just really excited?
The second.
Right.
And you are sitting closer to him.
Sorry, I'll move the mic. I'll back the mic.
No, it's not.
No.
It's not a criticism.
Smack the fuck up. Yeah.
He does get very close.
I told you, my nose.
You don't need to do that.
It's just
whatever.
It's just like the rest of us are trying. It's like you're just Brian Blessed in a room full of Chris Bratts. Yeah.
I couldn't ever match.
Don't sulk. Yeah.
I mean, there are loads of games we're not playing, Burns.
Yeah.
Loads.
Okay.
Uncharted 4. I'm not playing it. Someone is. Someone out there right now is doing something on Uncharted 4.
Yeah, they're thinking, shit, is this going to be as rubs as the last one?
Oh, that's scorching,
Touch
Burns.
me. The last Uncharted was fucking rubbish.
It wasn't rubbish. What are you talking about? It wasn't rubbish. It just wasn't as good as the one before it.
Which wasn't as good as the one before it?
No, you don't lie.
So many people.
Although the opening of Uncharted 2 was a bit crap, I felt.
What, with the burning house and everything?
Burning house?
The train.
No, that wasn't the opening.
Was it not?
Well, no, the train's when it got good.
How did it open?
Is this like how everyone's got a slightly differing account of how good the Uncharted games are because nobody can fucking remember them?
How did Uncharted 2 actually open? Was it that you... That's me. Was it Uncharted 2 where you climbed up the snow at the beginning? You climbed out the train?
I think so.
And then you
yeah.
And then you had to break into the palace or
that's
something.
what I just said.
The palace bit was shit. That's what I'm saying.
Right, good.
That was the opening.
Which one started off in like some rough pub in Wales?
Uncharted 3.
That was 3. Yeah, that was brilliant.
What? And then Helen Mirren turned up, but it wasn't Helen Mirren. And then as I was escaping, I got my gun out because I'm a fucking serial killer in that fucking franchise, and I shot a man in the head, and he did not die. And that's the moment I knew that Uncharted 3 was piss.
What?
I was like, what? He's not wearing body armor. He's wearing a suit. That doesn't protect your head.
Was he a boss? Was he a boss?
No, he was just a normal goon. And he went, ugh, and then just started shooting.
I once met a man who'd been shot in the head in World War II and he survived.
In a what?
What do you mean you once met a man who was shot in the head?
Once he was running a museum in Whitby. I was about 8 years old, and he was like, yeah, got running the military museum, and he was like, I got shot in the head.
Mind. You know, World War II wasn't that long ago.
Oh, I know.
Right, he's like, I got shot in the head.
It's just the way that you brought it up.
I
once met a man who was shot in the head.
That's interesting story.
I'm just illustrating that it's possible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is possible.
I mean, I don't think he just sort of dusted himself
and
off
was he wearing a suit?
Continued shooting at Nathan Drake.
He didn't just go, oh, but you got me. You know, I don't think it was. I mean, maybe it was. Maybe just that hard. Yeah. But I mean, I think
the great Rick Mail would have survived being shot in the head.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Considering that he nearly killed himself on a quad bike. I mean, who hasn't nearly killed themselves on a quad bike?
I got very close.
Like, everyone has been on one. It's like, go off, like, if they have gotten off it, like, whoa, man, just what's the point?
Yeah.
You know? Although Rick Mail's wife thought that he was pissing around, apparently. She looked out of the... Because she got him the quad bike for his birthday, I believe. She looked out in the garden, or the estate or whatever, and he was lying by the bike, motionless. She was like,
classic Rick.
Classic Rick. And then a few minutes later, she looked back out and he was still face down. She's like, oh shit, better get out there. And then Ozzy Osbourne got munched, didn't he, on a quad bike? You remember that? Because everyone thought he was going to die as well.
Yeah.
Just don't go on them. Or wear appropriate headwear, people. Be safe.
Yeah,
there you go.
Exactly.
Advice.
Like, you know, and if you're wearing appropriate headwear, you may get shot in the head and survive, because that's what it's for. But, you know, Uncharted 3. 3 out of 10.
Fair enough.
Did you actually review it at the time?
No. I'm glad I didn't review it at the time, because Simon Parkin reviewed it for Eurogamer and he gave it an 8.
If this is you bringing up his Resident Evil thing again,
no. He gave it an 8, which I actually think is a bit generous, and the internet melted. How dare you say today's franchise? Literally, that was the entire thread under
So it was a video game review of a popular franchise then?
Yeah, but I mean, this was something else, because he was the only one that really had the balls to say, wait a minute, guys, this isn't as good as everyone seems to think it is. Oh, Drake's in the desert this time. Shut up.
That bit was amazing, though. That was amazing.
The bit on the boat. Was it the boat? Is the worst part of the series by far.
I don't remember this bit.
Exactly. No one remembers it. No one remembers
I remember the boat. I remember the boat. He smashed through the glass.
Yeah. Rubbish. Rubbish.
Whatever.
So Uncharted 4, not buzzed.
So we haven't been playing Uncharted 4. That's
I mean, to be fair
saying,
though, I mean, the things we haven't been playing are infinite, right?
Mm-hmm.
So...
Yeah.
Where do we go with this? We sit here forever and
I was talking about the games with
podcast.
which we had access to, but had decided not to play.
So how did we end up on Uncharted 4?
I don't know. Someone just said it, didn't they?
I said somewhere.
Dave just said it.
God damn it.
Whereas Dave has Ride to Hell and has made a conscious decision not to play
recently.
it. So
we're all proud of you for that.
I did play it at the time.
Yeah.
And it was terrible.
Oh, man. It's incredibly bad.
I ran into a thing, I just couldn't complete it.
Fucking A. I love
Best
games
way
like
to
that.
experience Ride to Hell is to watch Guy Woodward's Let's Play series on it.
Yeah.
Because it's not really about the game. It's just the slow descent of a man into deeper and deeper just self-loathing, really.
I'm right in thinking at the end of each successful mission, the character is rewarded with a sex scene, right?
No, it's not quite like that.
Oh,
It's not BMX XXX, bros.
A couple of examples of that happening
You do
in the game.
meet and I think save women.
Yeah, and
proceed to have sex with
them. So why is
but-
that different to what I just said?
But I don't think it's like, oh, you've done a mission, therefore you have been rewarded with some sex. I don't think that's how it works.
I feel like that's what you... I don't understand how that's different.
Because
It's not a good game. Let's just agree on that point.
Let's not waste precious time.
I mean, it is
worrying about.
It is a bit sort of battered
all right. I have been playing a game.
Okay. Yes. See, this is what happens when you try and go against the freaking formula.
I derailed it.
The reason it works.
Derailed it for 10 minutes, and now I've got to steer this shit back round because no one else is gonna. I've been playing 2 games actually. One of which.
I mean, you could just say which game you've been playing if you wanted.
First of all, I was playing Evolve.
Evolve, the beta.
It's
it finished on Monday.
Monday, something like that.
Yeah.
Happy days.
Yeah.
As someone actually asked, so I may as well talk about this now, whether or not people's impressions of that game have changed from the alpha to the beta, because there's a bit more stuff.
No.
Access to the evacuation stuff, right?
Yeah, I didn't really. To be fair, I didn't really give that much of a go.
I'm worried.
Yeah, me
from
too.
everyone tweeting
worried
about it and from you talking about it, Dave, and everything that I've seen. Whoa, I'm worried.
It's just like
it's a bit.
So for a time being during playing it, I thought actually, you know what? Maybe this is better than I kind of gave it credit for. But then I thought, but how long am I actually going to play it for? Really, what's the staying power? I don't know why I would carry on playing it. No, it seems to work fine. Technically, it seems to work fine. It feels a bit unbalanced in the sense that
I think
you need to have a good team, otherwise you're screwed.
Yeah.
If you're playing with someone who doesn't know what they're doing,
and alternatively,
then you've already lost.
Alternatively, if you do have a good team, I think it's extremely difficult for the monster to win as well. Like it does seem to be a seesaw there. Like it'll go one way or the other.
A seesaw, Braz. I've not thought about a seesaw for years.
Really?
There's some weird decisions in Evolve, though, isn't there?
No,
There's that whole thing like if you're the one who kills the monster, the rest of your teammates reward you with sex.
No, that's Red to Hell still.
Oh, okay.
What? Excuse me. I've got to cancel my pre-order of something. Not Evolve.
Yeah.
Evolve.
Evolve's problem at the moment. A lot of people are talking about all this DLC stuff, which is fair enough.
Yep.
Particularly seeing as there was a good video from Jim Sterling this week that kind of highlighted all of this and the way they approached it from the very beginning. Like before they'd even shown the game, they were like pre-order it and you get this free DLC.
Yeah, well, it's like a free monster, right? Free monster and maybe.
I mean that is terrible.
It's the behemoth.
Yeah, pretty much.
Not even showing the game. You're saying like you get free content when you pre-order it, but then they tried to make up for it by going, but you get all the maps. Oh shit, I've hit myself.
Yeah,
get all the maps for free. But now they've sort of gone, but look at all these skins and all these characters and all that you can buy now, and they've completely screwed it up for themselves.
I'm going to say something that you probably won't agree with. I actually don't really have the problem with how they're treating the DLC in this game in terms of how it works and allowing players to play with those who have purchased it and making all the maps free. I think it's more the fact that just a huge part... We haven't seen that much of the game up until the alpha and the beta, and yet we've heard loads about the DLC. I think it's more that it's just been that's been the conversation. I actually think it's not being handled that badly. And when they've come out and talked about it, Phil Rudd had to do a statement.
Total Rock co-founder,
and I think there was obviously a little bit of frustration there on his part, but I think their reasoning for it isn't the worst.
I think it's largely a perception issue more than anything.
I
agree. If they hadn't announced any of this stuff, if there was pre-order Evolve and you get your pre-order bonus, people would have been like, yep, fine,
then
whatever.
Later down the line,
and then a month's time after release, they went, by the way, here's all this cool shit you can buy. People wouldn't have cared as much, but it's because it's all pre-release.
Yep.
And because so much of the marketing has been dominated by this DLC talk, I think it's just completely gone the other way for them and screwed the whole thing
Fucked
over.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of... I mean, so this is the first
and
game...
especially when it comes at a time when people aren't that convinced by the game as it is. Yeah. This is just another thing where they go, well, screw that, I'm not interested.
Look how quickly we've just started talking about DLC as well.
Yeah.
I think that's the problem, isn't it? This is the first game they've worked on themselves outside of Valve, right?
Well, didn't they start Left 4 Dead and then Valve acquired them?
Yeah.
They finished it with Valve, but they started the game before.
I just wonder if the marketing side of it is the bit where they've got some inexperience or something, or they just don't really know how best to... Because it sounds like it's going to be quite...
Is it developer-led, or is it
quite an expensive game, right?
It's more like a decision that'll be led by 2K, isn't it?
Yeah, it's got to be, right?
But Left 4 Dead's hook is simple, and so should Evolve's. Sounds like it should be simple.
It is simple, isn't
it? But it's the way it's being conveyed is really poor, and I think they're mixing and matching a lot of really bad marketing messages and decisions in there. Like you say, they should have just held off. People just get pissed off when they feel like they're being taken for a ride, and it does feel a little bit like that.
I just what I meant before. When they were at Valve, I get the impression that there's maybe a little bit more flexibility there in terms of how long you can spend working on the game before you release it. Whereas this time around, it feels like it's not like, as they said in that post, actually, it's not like this DLC is already done and they're just holding it back to sell later on. They, to keep working on this game, they need to sell it as DLC, and that's why they're talking about it so early. But it just feels like the messaging has been a bit too...
I'm in two minds, because it's
too much.
On the one hand, they're not hiding it from you.
Yeah.
They're doing this, and they're being open about it. But
and it means the game will potentially have a longer lifespan, hopefully, as a result. I don't know. It is
but rather than going, here's all the shit you can buy, they should have gone, by the way, here's the maps that are coming for free.
Or just, here are all the fucking reasons you should buy the game. There's also a pre-order bonus. We probably won't talk about it too much more until later down the line.
The emphasis has been completely in the wrong place. There was also that if you bought the PC Monster Race edition, when they were saying, look, this is $130 worth of content for just $99, and it's like, but that doesn't. Yeah. No, you've
set all those prices. Yeah,
it's like I could offer you like a conical flask of boiled piss for 100 quid, and you'd be like, "Fuck off," and I'd be like, "It's worth 200."
Yeah,
I'm planning to sell this at 200 separately, but.
Don't they want like $15 for a monster?
Yeah, and that sounds really shitty, but I think that's part of it. Is that the maps that they're going to be releasing are free, right? So that they're kind of having to recoup some of that.
Fucking
cost
Skylanders has a better value proposition than that.
Well, I find that the dollar values and stuff, that is an extremely American way of selling stuff. Like whenever we go to America, you flick on the television, you'll see just like reams of adverts texting them saying,
like, you get this free if you order today.
Yeah, you get it for X dollars. It's an X dollar value. That's pretty much how everything's sold out there in a lot of ways in infomercials, certainly.
The whole infomercial thing as well, when you're just like, if you buy one shit thing, we'll give you two.
Yeah, we'll give you more, like 5, 10, 15, just buy one.
That's really selling the value of this product to me, that you can't fucking wait to get them out of the warehouse.
Yeah. The irony of it all, though, is presumably they've announced all this stuff to encourage people to pre-order it and get all this shit, but what's actually done is put people off pre-ordering it.
Yeah.
So
I think the numbers are going to be bad.
Which it's a shame, because like Steve and I have talked about this a couple of times now, but there is a fun game underneath that. If you get the right setup, it does something that no other FPS is really tackling, at least at that kind of budget. And that's cool and that's exciting. And
the problem is, I get the impression that for a lot of people, it's going to be one of those games. It's I'll get it when it's 20 quid.
Yeah.
But by that point, the game will be dead.
They can't
an
afford
online
that to
game
happen, can they?
No.
They really can't. That's why they're making such a drive.
I think it will be Brink. I think it'll be Brink all over again. And
Brink all over.
I wonder.
I don't want it to be, because I love the idea and I like the fact they're trying something new.
Yeah. In a market that or that genre in particular, there's not that much new stuff.
Yeah. It's an odd one. It's like they've tried to combine the sort of Dota vibe, I guess, with a typical shooter, and I don't know if it's really.
And what's it from Gearbox? Is we haven't heard
Battleborn.
anything of that. Like maybe that's why, but we just haven't heard anything since that initial kind of reveal and preview event where they just talked about the single player. Why would you talk about, or not single player, the co-op campaign stuff? Why would you talk about that and not the?
Good luck with your MOBA.
Yeah. I feel really, really bad about that award, by the way.
Why?
Because the game they gave it to doesn't exist anymore.
So what?
So
we were right.
There
you go. Next question.
Yeah, well, that's the difference between you and I, Steve.
So it's actually just doubly funny now. Especially the poor woman you gave it to as well.
She wasn't even a developer.
She had nothing to do with the game. She
it.
clearly hated your guts and didn't want to be there. But basically,
they weren't actually at E3 though, which says a lot, I guess, doesn't it?
One of our colleagues was just like, "Can you deal with this fucking English twat?"
Yeah. Look at his hair
and his fat mate with a camera.
I remember filming you for the old Dar video.
That was a good
filming the Fable interview.
Yeah,
and the guy thought it was a legit interview, and he was putting so much. I felt so bad for him because you had no intention other than taking the piss.
No, it wasn't entirely.
There's a part of it where Jim walks past and you're looking around, because you looked around for ages, more so than what we put in the actual edit of the thing.
Because I couldn't see Jim, that's why.
And the look on this guy's face is like, Is he actually listening to anything I'm telling him?
Okay, you know what?
I mean, the comedy value is incredible.
I did chat with
doing it.
I did chat with that team like quite a bit more later on at the show, but we don't really do video interviews. We just needed a funny intro for the old video. God damn it, we're shit. We're horrible people.
No, we're not. Have you seen the fucking ridiculous shite that comes out of like IGN and GameSpot US, where their interviews are super happy, like, so that's why a game. It's just like, this game's piss. Shut up. Just say this game is piss. Just like I remember I went to a Sony event recently and I saw Until Dawn, and the build that I saw was so confusing. I asked one of the developers, I said, what, is this a dream? Is this, not this interview, but I said, is this part of the game a dream? And he said, no. I said, well, why doesn't it make any sense? Just this silence for a little while. Shit. But I'm sorry, you can't...
Did they tell you as well that you were playing the order wrong?
Oh, yeah, they told me that I was playing the order wrong in the stealth section so hideously bad that it made me almost leave the event. And that sounds like proper prima donna shit, but it was incredibly poor. Insta-death stealth section with no real rules onto,
No, you're playing it wrong, Burns. Playing it wrong.
I was playing it wrong because at that point you have to sneak up on people and kill them with your bloody great knife. That silenced gun you've got on your back, you can't use it. So yeah, I was playing it wrong. I was playing it wrong by playing it the only way you could play it.
Right.
That's the order in a nutshell.
Good.
That game's going to fucking bomb as well.
It's a weird time, isn't it?
It might do all right, but I think critically,
There's a difference there, isn't there?
I was really not really looking forward to it. I don't really look forward to anything apart from my impending death. But
why can't you just come on, Steve? Just work with me here. Just some kind of positivity.
The order had elements that I was interested in. It had good moustaches. Good. Had, a good setting. I liked all of that. Bratters, please. You thought the Order 1886 took place in 1942.
When you review it, give it a separate score for the level of personal grooming on the
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm actually, what I'm going to do is it'll probably get like a, whatever score it will get. Maybe not that high. I can't judge it now, but it's definitely getting a 9 out of 10 in the main box for the moustaches. I think we're going to start doing more of that. I think we're going to start doing more of the old Amiga Power where the text is completely different to the score. And just absolutely hammering games and then giving them 9 and be like, sorry, the CMS error, wasn't it? What can I say? Can't change it now, Oh.
Metacritic.
Just absolutely screwing up Metacritic.
Like 87 out of 100.
Just give a game a 10 and then in the Metacritic box, it's just absolutely hammered. One of the worst games I've ever played.
10 out of 10. Oh, Jesus.
So the Order... I wanted that to do well, but
do you not think it will do? No, commercially, I'm talking.
I think commercially it'll do well.
I think it'll do well.
I don't think it'll do
Pretty
gangbusters.
Shooter, isn't it?
Good shoot.
I can see it now.
Steampunk.
The PS4's Gears of War.
You can see the trailers, can't you? Immediately for that.
Yeah.
Whereas Evolve, it's a little bit more.
You can sell it. You can sell the Order quite easily.
It is 100% Steampunk Crisis. Like the only redeeming factor of the Order is that it looks incredible on a technical level. It doesn't even look nice. Like, from what I've seen of it, the art direction is boring, horrible brown shit. But on a technical level, it looks really good.
There's not a jaggy in sight.
Yeah,
on the fucker. It looks lovely.
On that side, it's done a really incredible job. But
Talking of commercial successes, one of the games I thought would do really quite well soon is Dying Light. But now I'm not so sure because...
Yeah, I thought that would just do really well just
because it's Dead Island, right?
Yeah.
And that sort of did really well and it had word of mouth.
Parkour.
Exactly, yeah. But I don't know how the delay of the box release will affect that whole thing. It's odd, isn't it?
Yeah, it is very odd.
So they're staggering it now. So it's coming out digitally the day that it was supposed to come out in a box as well. But they've now delayed the box release in Europe for unknown reasons.
There are all I think about when I see that game is that it's Dead Island with parkour. But apparently it does some interesting stuff as well. Like the nighttime aspects of that game are supposed to be scary, which isn't a word that you'd use to talk about with.
Well, they
Dead
tried
Island,
to make Dead Island's nighttime bit scary.
I know,
as well,
and it doesn't work, does it? But apparently, just the way the creatures move and the kind of sound design going on, it works. So I've been told. I haven't got to play it yet. But
Oh, Miller quite liked it, didn't he, when he saw it? We expected him to go in there and give it a good pasting, as he did for like 90% of the things that he saw, including Shadow of Mordor, which apparently... And
that one was all right.
That's not meant to throw Miller under the bus. Apparently it had a very poor... It didn't explain the nemesis. I remember him coming out going... It was like WWE, Steve. People just kept on turning up. And I thought I'd killed them. And from his explanation, which I saw a little bit of that trailer, I was like, it's absolutely 100% on the money.
But people need to go back and listen to that podcast where Miller spends 10 minutes ripping into the...
I think that was
into
E3,
the
right?
one feature that everyone will later latch onto as an example of how brilliant it is.
But again, in terms of conveying
if you just dropped into that game for 5 minutes,
Yeah.
it looks ridiculous.
When I've sat with you whilst you're playing it, without you having a personal attachment to the characters as well, it's very difficult to
It just looks a bit ridiculous.
the whole system. Yeah.
Talking of shit approaches to DLC, like we were with Evolve, and on Dying Light as well. Have you seen this whole Be the Zombie thing? Which sounds like one of the more intriguing aspects of that game,
Right.
Where you can it's a bit like Evolve in that you are the zombie and you go around killing all the.
In multiplayer or
Yeah, I think it's a separate mode. I don't think.
I feel like there is a book coming here.
But
There we are. That was it.
even though it's ready in time for launch,
just laugh at the word
etc., it's a pre-order bonus that you can only get at Amazon by spending about £5 more. It's like, what? Why not just put what is probably one of the most intriguing parts of your game in the main game?
Yeah.
No, man.
That just strikes me as like something that publishers would have done like 3 years ago.
Pre-order,
And now
yeah,
everyone's
yeah.
complained since then, and no one's moved
Or
on.
retailer exclusives even. They're
Yeah.
just
But there is another game I've been playing very recently.
Right.
Last night, in fact.
hmm
Saints Row 4 re-elected. Not the DLC, just the PS4 remaster.
When is the DLC within the game? Can you play that separately, or is it like a
Well, on the
certain-
PS4, it doesn't actually come on the disc.
Right.
On the PS4 version. I don't know if it's the same for the Xbox One version, but the DLC is actually a code. So it's two separate games.
Okay.
So you load them up
So
separately
you've just been
from the PS4.
seeing what the HD stuff is.
Yeah,
all about.
and it's not a particularly great port. When you look back on what were good and bad remasters, I'd say this was somewhere sort of down the middle. Really, it runs all right.
Is it as bad as
1080p.
Sleeping Dogs?
No, it runs better than Sleeping Dogs.
Sleeping Dogs Remaster is so bad. Sorry, Chris, to butt in there, but when I went into a video game shop that may or may not be around here the other day, I was talking to because I know the guy who runs it, I was talking to the guy about playing Resident Evil HD Remaster, and he was like, "Oh, I'm not sure." I was like, "It's pretty good." And the first thing he said was, "Is it better than Sleeping Dogs?" And I was like, "Exactly. Sleeping Dogs is the touchstone of shit HD remasters."
Yeah, I mean the
generation.
problem with the Saints Row 4 remaster is the fact that Saints Row 4 wasn't a very good looking game in the first place. It was a little bit ugly. So I mean, it's still got that element to it, and it's just the fluctuating frame rate that's the biggest problem. It can hit 60 frames when it wants to, but it also sort of tends to hover around 30 frames. So there's this back and forth that is a little bit annoying, but it hasn't annoyed me as much as I thought it would. If you were to tell me that, it hasn't put me off it as much as I expected.
Frame rate dog shit.
Yeah, exactly. But no, I went back to it last night thinking I'll play it for an hour so we can talk about it in the podcast, because Tom reviewed it. I thought we'd be talking here with Tom. But I got stuck into about 3 hours. I got addicted to it all over again. It's still the best Crackdown since Crackdown. All that bloody...
Is it? Why didn't the original review say that? I mean, I've not played Saints Row 4.
Yeah, you've got... I can't remember what they call them, but they're like these little shards that you have to go around and collect.
Why didn't you tell me about these
and
things?
you level yourself up, you upgrade new things. It's amazing, man.
Dave, you're doing all the reviews from now on. All of them.
Good.
Yeah, I just don't know that I'm that fussed about a HD remaster of that particular game. The DLC sounds fun. From what
Does
I've
it? You see,
seen.
from what Tom was telling me, it sounded like a bunch of sort of side missions thrown together.
You have to
as an
fill up a
excuse for
meter, don't you?
Yeah, and it doesn't really. From what he was telling me, I haven't seen it,
okay.
to be fair, but it doesn't sound like it would interest me as much as the main game would. But I don't know. I'd like to give it a go. It's a shame that they haven't put it on it's a separate download. I mean, that's going to affect the resale value of that game, I imagine, quite a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Cool.
so if you didn't play Saints Row 4, give it a go.
Sure.
Give it a go.
Why not?
But it's one of those, maybe pick it up when it's a bit cheap, because you
Yeah.
get Saints Row 4 so cheap now. Like PC,
Can
it's
you buy
about £4.
The DLC, if it's separate, you
It's
can't buy it on its
standalone.
own.
It's standalone, yeah.
You can purchase it on its own. Off
Yeah.
the, all right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which I guess is why they've done it the way they
Yeah.
have with the code. So yeah.
Well, I played Resident Evil, didn't I? And I liked
Talking
it.
of HD remasters, that
I liked
might
it.
be all right. Yep.
Yeah. There you go.
Good.
was good.
I mean, you've been. It's difficult for you, isn't it? Because you've been talking about this game really for the last 2 years that I've known you.
Yeah.
So
It's because it's my favourite game.
You've said all the things about Resident Evil.
Yeah. Just,
Are you not bored of talking about Resident Evil?
No.
I'm really like that video.
Why would I
we
get
did-
bored of talking about Resident Evil, the greatest game of all time?
Me and Brad did a
you
video
guys
for
started
Drive
Not really.
Club.
Tetris is the greatest game of all time,
we
boys.
did a video for Drive Club the other day for the Japan tracks, and I was worried that I sounded so bored because all I've been talking about for the last 6 months seems to have been Drive Club,
Yep.
and I really don't want to talk about it ever again. I was worried if that was the same.
No, because I just love it.
But just split over a period of 10 years with you, or 20 years even.
Yeah, I just love it. There's no getting away from the fact that it's amazing. And
Good.
the HD remaster is actually pretty good.
I heard it had weak game design.
So
Yeah.
you've got. Don't ask not to get him started on this. Come on.
I
Come
read
on.
that,
You can't-
though.
Don't stop it.
Well,
You know what you're doing here.
Everyone has opinions, and I happen to respect the man that wrote that opinion, even if I disagree with it very much.
Violently.
Good.
Fair enough.
So, one thing I didn't really like about Resident Evil HD Remaster was that, I played through the preview build as Jill, and because you can complete it, and they were like, "Oh, you can't review it because it's exactly the same." Essentially, sometimes the characters have green ears, which is where the new lighting effects were meant to hit the character models.
Mhm.
That is so far pretty much the only difference I could find.
Really?
So I jacked the game onto like easy mode when the review build came in to just run through and see how the environments that they said maybe hadn't been finished, or where the elements with the green ears and stuff and the lighting effects, all pretty much the same. When you save the game, if you save it as Jill, and I haven't tested this with Chris, but if you save it with Jill on easy mode, the lettering is like purple but very close to pink, as if to say, "Oh, you girl, you're playing
you
it
can't
on
play this game.
Really?
girl." And it's like, really? Yeah.
You sure that's not just you seeing things that aren't there? Like it's all a dream?
It could be, but
You
it
do
just,
do that.
it just. I mean, we afterwards, what we'll do is we'll go and have a look, and then we'll see what we think.
Okay.
But and then there's been idiots running around, fucking playing it with that new control scheme. What's the point? You just skate around. You can move too quickly. You don't
Well,
have to engage with any of the enemies.
You see, but the tank controls, Burns, they're what kind of put me off, Resi.
Okay.
All of these things where you're like, I can't believe people who suggest that they do this for a remaster. I'm that guy.
I know, but Dave, you are quite an intelligent man.
Infinite saves.
Even if you try and say that you're not, right? You're hiding behind this fucking dumbass exterior. But I know you're a smart man. You know, Dave, that if you press up on the analog stick, character will move forward. That's the only rule, really.
I know, but by today's standards, it does feel a bit dated, doesn't it?
But the problem is that.
But it's not supposed.
But when you
a
change,
remaster, isn't it? Of a,
have you been watching any of
It's
the
a
streams?
remaster rather than a remake, yeah.
So.
But Dave, have you been watching any streams? 'Cause I popped on to watch some streams.
Oh yeah.
yesterday
Oh
of
god,
the
you're
game.
catching up with.
I am, and
with the world.
some of these streams, and the people playing them all have the new controls on. But the thing is that those controls are relative to where the camera is now. So up isn't always forward. So when you'd have moments where the angle would change and they'd still be pressing in a direction which now was the opposite of where they were actually meant to be heading.
Right.
Then they'd be going back the other way.
Oh, that
and
is shite.
So there's a reason why tank controls exist. They're not perfect, but for the fixed camera angles, they do the job admirably.
What if they remade it in the style of Resi 456?
Well, they kind of did with
There was a level
Lost in Nightmares. I think
Yeah,
it
was that
called.
5?
That was
DLC?
5's DLC, which was actually pretty good. And you could play it that in fixed camera angles, or you could play it.
Could you?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
You could hit select, I think, or back or whatever, and it would change it to fixed camera angles, or you could play it in, or more static. They would move, but it wouldn't be behind the
Over
character.
the shoulder.
Yeah, so I thought that was pretty cool.
So you would, because that strikes me as the sort of thing where you go mad. Oh, how dare they change a classic, update it with this modern shit?
Oh, what if they changed?
If they made Resident Evil 1 exactly.
I'm
Sorry, Burns. If they made the original Resident Evil.
That's better.
Yeah.
There we are.
But in the style of Resident Evil. Exactly the same. Exactly the same plot, elements, mechanics, whatever. Well, not mechanics, obviously, but you know what I'm trying to get at here.
I think it would lose a lot of the atmosphere of the original and the character of the original game, because those environments have had to be drawn to convey a certain meaning. As it's a horror game. In terms of the framing, a lot of classic horror has influenced it. So when the backgrounds have been drawn and when when the lightning flashes in and your character's at a certain place or you can only see a certain bit down the hallway, that's all very deliberate. So I think it would lose some of that. However, having played Lost in Nightmares, which essentially is the Spencer Mansion, but from behind the character, didn't think it was that bad. So, I wouldn't go totally mad. I'd go a little bit mad. Like, I don't know, maybe like a 3 or a 4 mad, up into the average madness.
Do you know what I want them to remake?
Dino Crisis.
Well,
2.
that would be good. Yeah, wasn't thinking of that.
Onimusha?
Manhunt.
I don't think it could work. I think the kind of abstraction of those characters, of that, like not cell shaded, but that comic book look that early GTA Engine games had. So if it was super realistic, I'm not sure it would work.
You don't think?
No. I presume that's why they made Manhunt 2 for the Wii and PS2 rather than the PS3 and Xbox 360, which were out at the time.
You think it gets too real, or like what?
Yeah, I mean, Manhunt was well on the cusp, I think. There were certain moves in Manhunt that I stopped using. There's one where you can, for anyone that's not played it, you sneak up, you're in the Running Man, essentially, and you sneak up behind people because you're useless with your fists, really, and you've got to take them out with, like, plastic bags and whatever implements you can find. There's one where if you hold down the button when you sneak up behind someone, your reticle changes to like different colors for the level of kill you get. And one of them with the most severe one with a shard of glasses, and you stab them in the back, and as they arch back over, you stab them in both eyes. I remember thinking...
It is grim. There'll be a lot of people listening that are too young to even have ever played Manhunt.
I never played that.
But Manhunt, this is where the sequel really fucked it up. Manhunt 2 is terrible. Where the original really nailed it was because you are trapped in the game, essentially, and everyone else is out to kill you, yes, but you can only get through the level. You can only be allowed out of the stage once you've completed a certain amount of kills. So the director...
Yeah, you've been directed.
So you feel unwilling,
to
an extent.
It kind of goes... It deliberately goes against what games where you kill had always been about, where it's about getting a high score. So from Space Invaders, it's about getting a score, right, and being top of the leaderboards for killing. Whereas in this, you have to make a judgment call based on your own morality, really, whether you're happy to accept a higher score for the acts which you do. Now, there's none of that in Manhunt 2. So it's actually quite clever, Manhunt. I think a lot of people got it wrong when it came out. And I know a lot of people got it fucking miles wrong. They're like, 3 out of 10, it's just violence for violence's sake. But it isn't really. And I was so happy. About halfway through the game, you get a gun. I was like...
It does completely change it.
I'm so happy that I don't have to fucking strangle anyone anymore.
Can kill people cleanly.
It's not even cleanly, their heads explode. Okay, but it's just...
Still pretty nice.
So, but I think it would lose a bit of the... Because it is a bit... It's not abstract, but it's got a very surrealist quality, Manhunt.
Yeah.
And I think it would lose that if it was too realistic.
You've gone like full Oculus Rift and like...
It would be banned as well. Like, the kind of the eye gore and the chopping people in the fucking kidneys, and it's just crazy.
This conversation's been going on since like the early GTAs, right? But it feels like we're actually at a time where that is a proper conversation that needs to be had, like getting too real and making that stuff feel a little bit too close.
Yeah.
Like we talked about this quite a lot with GTA, the new version of GTA 5, which is brilliant, but the first person parts of that game can make you feel strange.
Yeah, and so a new Manhunt built for this generation and not just kind of ported or, really a lot of work went into GTA 5, new gen, whatever. But, I mean, I felt really weird shooting people in first person, and and that wouldn't have the graphical fidelity really of a new Manhunt with another 2 years into this gen. And I'm not sure I'd play it. I could like... Yeah, I think you need a barrier between if they remade it and they really dialed up the morality aspect of it, it could be very interesting.
Yeah. How far will you go? Yeah, that is an interesting horror game then, isn't it?
What would you do to get... I mean, that's mega B-movie.
Almost if they made it like a sort of revenge game, like a sort of revenge movie type thing, where it's like, how far would you go to save?
Like Man on Fire.
Exactly.
Yeah, but I think with those...
But I think that gives you maybe an easy answer. Whereas when you're trapped in this and it's literally your life and what you'll do to save yourself.
Also in Manhunt, as you play as a guy called James Old Cash, who's been executed. It's like the Running Man. He's been executed by the state for a crime that he claims that he did not commit, but it's quite ambiguous as to whether he actually did it or not. And he is quite good at killing people, and yet he maintains innocence. So you have these weird themes. And there's also themes of race and kind of white supremacy and, wealth, just like I was saying about Resident Evil to Jim yesterday, wealth hiding this horrible underbelly of seediness and what have you.
That morality element of it actually makes that game sound way more interesting than I ever realised it was. I just thought it was a violent...
Manhunt 2 have any of that? Wasn't it just you play as someone in a psychiatric ward? And
go nuts.
Yeah. Manhunt 2 has one very...
Because I only played about an hour of Manhunt 2 and I can't really remember it all that well. But.
Yeah, I got it on the... Because I really love the original Manhunt for everything that it, what it's saying, essentially. And so when Manhunt 2 got banned, I was a little bit mad, but I was really worried about how it was looking. So I managed to get that beta version that was leaked, and I played it on like a chip PS2, and
naughty birds.
I know. But so I'm playing it, and I'm like, okay, and it has a level that's a bit like Hostel, where you're in a club, and then people have been taken from the club into the back rooms, and they're being tortured, and you can decide whether to save them or what have you. That's the only moment really of the game which has anything like that. The rest of it's just like shooting people's heads off and sawing heads off with fucking chicken wire and or whatever. It's just stupid. It's just a very poor sequel.
Right, fair enough.
So,
should we go back and play it? Should we do a stream?
Yeah, I get.
You're interested in it.
I am a little bit. Like, so at the moment we've kind of got this conversation that keeps cropping up with hatred, right?
Yeah.
And whether or not that's just whether or not going that violent and that real is worthy of games or whatever. I think that what we've just been talking about is the difference. Having some kind of morality, some kind of question that you have to ask yourself whilst you're doing these really brutal things. That would make a game interesting to me. Without it, it's I'm not fussed at all.
It's it's played for laughs in The Running Man. When he fucking at one point he takes a chainsaw and chainsaws a man in half from his dick upwards, and then runs off in his yellow jumpsuit. We had to split or something like that, and it's just.
I'm okay with that as well. I think that's a different
but
thing,
that's absolutely fine. But when you think about the actual level of barbarity in The Running Man, it's pretty bad. But you are but there's like this thing where they are bad people, so you're like, oh, okay. Whereas I think Manhunt is completely different. You're all bad people, and you've got to kind of work out where you stand on this. And the thing with hatred is that I think the stance of the developer is so antagonistic.
Yeah.
That has got a lot of people. I mean, it's violence is. It's all about violence. The thing is that a lot of games where you can do that to civilians, it seems almost secondary. Like GTA can go on a rampage. The game doesn't force you to go on a rampage. Postal, even that was Postal's big get out, wasn't it? Was you can just go to the shops, and that thing where everyone goes postal in Postals when you're in the supermarket, and you're trying to buy the milk. The mission objective is just like buy milk. And it just takes ages and ages, and shit keeps on going down until you have those feelings that you do in reality. You're like, I'm going to fucking kill everyone in here. And then, because it's a video...
Only you have those feelings, man.
Oh, come on now. And then, because it's a video game, you just think, oh, right, let's see what happens, Whereas I think everything I've seen of hatred just seems geared up to antagonise. I mean,
and it's worked perfectly for them.
Well, it has worked.
They've just done it to get the headlines that we've given them.
That kind of that moment, I think it's going to be the moment most people remember of hatred is where the killer grabs a civilian, puts a gun in her mouth, and just pulls the trigger, and you're like, that's really bad. But it's all in the presentation. And hatred might be just pushing it to the upper limits of what people are willing to accept. But I mean, I think I've done a lot worse in a lot of other...
Blimey!
There are video games where I've destroyed entire nations with nuclear weapons. I've played DEF CON where I've hit New York and it says New York hit, 6.4 million dead, and I've gone, yes, get in! I've killed women, children, babies, dogs, iguanas, men. I've killed everything and liked it, but... Yeah. And then I've played DEF CON.
DEF CON's a great game.
DEF CON. Oh, that's a game about a chilling morality.
The atmosphere of that game is amazing.
So I've actually been playing a game this week that has some weird questions that you have to ask yourself about what you'll do to save the world. It's Massive Chalice from Double Fine.
What?
It's
Massive Chalice?
Yeah. Have you heard of this game?
I thought you said chairless to begin with.
No, unfortunately not. It's the Massive Chalice talks to you and is actually your advisor. You're advised by a talking goblet.
Are you okay? Is this a breakdown?
That's the Double Fine bit of it, really. They had to do something a little bit quirky to kind of fit in with that. And it's got a pleasing presentation, I guess, which you associate with those guys. But the actual game itself, the turn-based strategy stuff, is very average. There are games that do it much better. And because it's so early, the kind of range of enemies that you fight and whatever isn't that extensive, at least to begin with. The interesting part of the game is that you're told right from the beginning that your chalice, your advisor, is like powering up to defeat this kind of evil force that's coming in on your small kingdom, but it's going to take 300 years. And your heroes that fight for you and defend each of your areas, obviously they're to an extent normal human beings, so they're not going to survive for 300 years. And it becomes this thing that you've got to play the long game and get to that end stage. And to do that, you need to continue the bloodlines of these heroes. Think sort of like Rogue Legacy, so the traits...
I'm thinking Infinity Blade in my head. I don't know why.
However, to do that, you have to force them into these loveless marriages. Like, you to continue the bloodlines, you need to literally tell your heroes that have been fighting.
All marriages are loveless. I don't understand the problem.
And you're like, go and have some babies right now. And it kind of tries to avoid that point by being like, I mean, there's a chance that these people will find happiness, and don't just think about it as a spreadsheet.
Think about the long game. Think about the long game.
But you look at them and you look at their fertility, and you're like, oh, you've got a good chance of having some kids. Come on, off the battlefield.
All the games that you seem to have been playing are all about fertility.
That's Crusader Kings 2 as well. Yeah. But
are you all right?
And
are you feeling lonely?
That game is actually...
Brat's feeling broody.
A little bit. No, because it's a really horrible way of doing it, because you're like, oh, this character has asthma. I don't really fancy... I don't think... Oh, God, I've just thought about what I've been doing now. I'm like, you know what? This human trait isn't worthy of my kingdom. Oh,
you're terrible.
That is the interesting part of the game, though. As terrible as that sounds, because
what have you become?
To get to the... I know, I've just kind of had a little moment there where I realised that it's the fact that I looked at asthma as a trait that human beings shouldn't have in this world, because they don't fight as well.
Like, imagine Tinder for sados, where it turned into the pursuit for potential sexual partners is fucking...
It's like an RPG stat sheet.
Fertility 71. Oh, she'll do.
But that's kind of what...
Has asthma. Ooh.
That's kind of what this becomes. Like, none of the heroes are ever perfect, so you're always having to kind of weigh things up. Like, you'll have a stat sheet as in normal RPGs, but you've also got these traits, and they've definitely nabbed that from Rogue Legacy, which has these kind of interesting characteristics for each hero that change how they work. But you two have to personally say, right, you two, you stop fighting now, you're going to go and live in this keep that I've just built and have loads of kids. That's literally your job until you die.
I would rather die on the battlefield
to fight for me. But you can't. So, and it's a weird thing, because you as with there's obviously been inspiration from a bunch of stuff, but kind of as with XCOM, where you get attached to these characters that you've used and have survived multiple battles as permadeath. If they die in a combat, they'll be dead. If you had someone that survived for maybe 4 or 5 missions and done really well for you,
and as kids,
you want to keep using them in the fights, because they've been such a useful part and they'll have leveled up and they have all these abilities. But you're like, you're 45 now. I mean, how long can we keep doing this? Are you going to be past fertility age soon?
No, men can go forever.
Off to have some kids.
Just ask Des O'Connor.
I'm not asking Des O'Connor anything about my strategic...
Des O'Connor's like, what, 75 years old or something, and he's got like a 2-year-old kid.
Is he really?
Yeah.
Fuck.
He's not fucking around. I mean,
he is fucking around a lot. But yeah, interesting game that makes you feel a little bit strange when you actually start thinking about what you're doing.
That's interesting. That's an interesting game.
And it's
you know how I feel about children, so I mean,
I would love to see you playing this.
I'd never play it. I'd just be like, well, let the kingdom fucking burn. What's the point? Like,
there really doesn't seem to be much to the kingdom other than trying to survive the incoming apocalypse. Like, I don't really know what I'm saving.
Why don't they just work on like science instead of just working on pumping out fucking needless sequels? Just be like, right, let's do some science stuff.
So there is a part of that as well.
Make a bomb.
You do have a kind of research tree as you go along, and you obviously only got a limited amount of time to research stuff before the final battle. So you have I think it's called a Sage Rights Guild, which is where you send you'll take certain heroes and tell them, go and research stuff now. And that then becomes their full-time thing, and they can never fight for you again. And they can't have kids as well. It's a really brutal world. It's like, oh, you're interested in
Yeah, but the past was brutal,
science.
Chris. When you read, about like historical figures and how they clung to power, nasty business.
Yeah.
Great times. But
you puts you in that mindset. It forces you to think a little bit like that, and that's
like a despot.
That's cool.
Well, I think Burns has asked the right question there. Is that a society worth saving?
Exactly.
I'm not sure it is.
This one isn't a society worth saving.
No.
I don't think so. I mean, look at the Marvel Cinematic Universe. People are actually excited about that. You know, it's just like, really?
I'm excited about it.
I'm excited about the DC television universe as well. So
I don't know why. I don't think I'm excited
so
about
fuck
anything
me,
this year.
right?
I'm excited about the Champions League final.
Jesus Christ. See, right now, I'm looking at your traits right now, and I'm thinking, is this someone that I want to
I'm excited about.
continue onwards? No, I think you're going to the Sage Rights Guild, mate.
Are you going to start looking at people and like trying to decide on them?
You've had 3 kids. You're right up there, mate. You're fertile.
Please don't discuss my fertility
And I,
on the podcast.
I'm looking forward to this.
It's just weird.
You've got a strong bloodline. I can work with that. That's great.
Well,
Dave, we'll see.
what do you mean?
Dave will have a kiss soon, won't you, Dave? You're going to have one.
I don't know. How do I get tested?
You're on. Dave,
How do I find out how fertile I am?
Dave
There is one.
There's
pretty
a
good
very
test.
natural test.
Oh, God.
But Dave, you're on lockdown now.
What?
You've got to have a kid. You've signed a contract.
Yeah.
Do I need to go and what are those little scientific pots that they have?
Test tubes.
No, like a test tube but
A
round.
flask.
Well, like Yakult or
No. You know, like a petri dish.
Yeah.
Do I need to go and
Dave, you don't
Do
that
my
into-
business on a
into
petri dish.
Into a petri dish. I mean, that's just silly.
and then they count it?
Count it. You know that facade that you were talking about earlier? This
there, it's back again.
Yeah.
Dumb and Dumber 3.
Scammer, I think you know how sex works
Just take
and how
lots of
children are
zinc.
made.
No, I'm saying for the scientists to find out. I want scientific evidence.
Within my kingdom, are we talking about where I'm...
No,
or is
in
this
real life.
Okay. Well, this is a conversation you need to have with maybe someone else. That
With your
isn't
GP,
a Video
Dave.
Games podcast.
It's really weird, some of the conditions that can make you less fertile. There was
Oh, God,
there was
where are we
one
going?
condition I read about. It's basically some people can't. Basically, their sperm don't have tails.
Mm.
So, so they can't swim anywhere. So they just sort of roll about. Like when I read about
I'm using an image.
when I
You
read
shouldn't
about
be.
that, I always imagine just like I don't know, like it's like it must be like pouring Rice Krispies into a bowl. Like they just
Oh my
tumble out.
god!
Wait,
Oh my! So many people are offended right now.
Rice Krispies into a bowl.
Some of this ideation's just insane.
anyway.
Right,
Now,
okay.
No one will be able to eat Rice Krispies again.
And yeah, that
Well,
is...
Brett was going mad about his crunchy nut the other day, wasn't he?
It was either that or sugar puffs.
Couldn't believe that they had nuts in his crunchy nut.
He couldn't believe there weren't.
He was moaning about nuts in his fucking crunchy
And he was
nut
saying about how
cornflakes.
it was the most savoury cereal he'd ever eaten. It's
Yeah.
the sweetest thing that exists.
Fuck's sake.
He said he wanted Cocoa Pops or Lucky Charms. He was very upset.
It's second only, like apart from your Lucky Charms and your really sugary stuff.
Diabetes for breakfast.
It's second only to Frosties on the sugar scale, crunchy
Yeah.
nut cornflakes, right? But he was just like, nah, too sweet, mate.
Crazy.
Same thing, really.
It's too savoury, mate. Like, are you eating them with fucking Worcester sauce? But yeah.
Yeah. Brett
Well,
will make it
I mean, he might be doing that. He is an idiot.
Back to the fertility, though. I've often wondered
Thought we were
about
trying to
putting a mobile
get
phone
rid
in my
of this.
pocket. Is
Yeah.
that all right?
I think so. I did it for years.
Yeah,
Nukes your balls.
Well, there we
Yeah,
go.
yeah.
Strengthens
Nukes your balls.
That's what I heard on science.
Well, that's
on
what I'm
Twitter
thinking.
science.
Yeah, I don't want nuclear balls.
No. No.
It'd be like a shit superhero. That would be a DC superhero.
Yeah, definitely.
Irradiated balls,
Yeah.
man. What's his superpower? I don't know. He's just sort of in pain.
He's constantly in pain.
There you go.
There you go.
Excellent.
Video games.
Did anyone have anything? Oh, actually, we've been recording for quite a while. Shall I move on to some questions?
If you
Sorry,
want.
I haven't missed anyone's.
You haven't asked what Jim was
chatter.
playing, but
Well, he's upset with Assassin's Creed. Let's
No,
not pick on
I've
him.
already done a big video about Dead Kings, and basically I make the argument as a massive Assassin's Creed fan that
And Mass Effect fan.
that it's sort of getting to the point where even people who absolutely adore it, like me, are kind of thinking, Goni, just fucking stop.
Yeah.
I reached this point with Star Trek recently as well, and
God, this must be a traumatic time for
it is
you.
a very traumatic time.
You're like
Sorry
Bruce
about
Wayne at the
we
moment.
said this the other day, though. Victory will come along and you'll be like, oh, Victory's amazing. Best Assassin's Creed
Yeah,
years.
and then it'll come out and everyone will hate it and I'll look like a twat again. No, I mean, genuinely, I stand by the score I gave Unity, what I said about it, I didn't have as bad a time
The
with
t-shirt
glitches
you
and bugs
printed.
as everyone else did,
Mm-hmm.
etc. I don't think that running at 30 frames is fucking devastating, or
Sub 30.
Sub 30.
Dog shit, mate.
Dog shit, mate. But I don't know. Dead Kings really felt like what I kept thinking when I played Dead Kings is basically at some point this was going to be charged for. Like this was going to be like it would have been at least a tenner probably. And it's terrible. Like it doesn't have anything. Because Unity had lots of redeemable qualities despite having loads of problems, and that's why ultimately I gave it a good score, because I thought they were redeeming qualities. I thought they did a good job on a lot of it.
It just feels like it feels like it's more of Unity rather than new ideas.
It's this new area and stuff, but it's the exact same stuff as Unity in a setting that is horrible, and all the sort of signature features of the DLC are. Yeah, you've got these catacombs where you have to find an artifact and you keep having to go down into these catacombs. But they're catacombs, so you go to this shitty fog-laden town that's horrible and covered in turds.
Paris.
It's actually supposed to be quite
where the
close,
sun never comes up. Like
Hull.
and
You even say Stoke
and the
on
signature feature of this area is that you can go underneath it, where it's just, I mean, as underground is anywhere, just shitter and dirtier than the surface. So there's nothing appealing about where you are. Like that's not necessarily a bad thing, because I mean, the Dark Souls has plenty of horrible areas. I mean, lots of brilliant games have really desolate settings and whatever, right? That's fine, but it's that combined with the fact that a lot of what was redeeming about Unity for me was just how brilliant the artistry was in that version of Paris, and that was a really big part of the appeal. So when you take that out, it kind of just it really magnifies Unity's issues, really. So it was kind of like a reminder. By the way, here's this extra bonus chapter. This is an epilogue, and it's going to remind you of everything terrible that Unity did. It's the worst way to sort of say bye-bye to that game.
Well, I just can't get on board with Assassin's Creed Unity being called Unity. Sounds like a fucking code name. Every time I think about it, I'm like, is it actually called Unity?
Next one's Victory, right?
It's about anything but as well. Like it's.
We thought it was going to be a game where the co-op was like center stage and having these multiple assassins was the game, but.
That's a side thing that I don't know how many people are bothering with.
It's like the marketing team sat there and go, we need to push the fact it has co-op.
Yeah.
Let's just call it this, please. And they've just gone with it. Well,
shite.
And the thing about Victory as well is that's essentially a pun, right? That's rubbish. But I don't know. I'm hoping that they do. I'm hoping that Victory does well. I'm hoping it learns from Unity.
Yeah.
But they have such sort of long and overlapping dev cycles that
it's a new team now, isn't it?
Does it?
This one's a new team.
But Victory. Surely Victory's so far along that it's not. It can't learn anything from Unity because.
Oh right, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
So I mean, anything it could possibly learn from Unity, you're gonna have to wait until the game after Victory for any of that to kind of be visible, right? Because they've probably been developing Victory for 3 years by this point,
Probably. Yeah.
So
You saying they're going to make another Assassin's Creed game after this one?
after Victory,
That's
I hope not.
crazy talk.
I hope not. They can fuck off, mate. I'm done with it.
Wonder if they'll start pushing Far Cry more. Far Cry sold more this year than
Far Cry was
Assassins, in the
good,
UK at
that's
least.
why.
Yeah.
There you go. Questions.
All right, cool.
Go!
Peter Canning
Hello.
asks, this one's for you actually, Steve. He says, smug British arsehole at the Steve Bernio famously hates games journalists. Has
Yes,
anyone
I'm
told
aware
him?
that I am one. That's how I know. They're
He
all
is-
fucking cunts. Next.
Whoa!
Fuck.
Wow!
Blimey.
Jeez.
I don't actually identify as a games journalist, so...
Oh, you're a critic or a
I'm
blogger?
a video producer.
Video producer?
What's the
Also
question?
offense.
YouTuber?
He's already answered it. He's really done.
I'd seen this one.
Yeah.
Oh.
I'd seen this one earlier.
All right.
Like all good chat shows, I'm aware of the questions before.
I don't know what the question was. I missed it.
The question was, am I aware that I'm a game
He-
show?
are
he
you
is
aware
what he
you are
hates.
one? Right. Yes. Okay.
Okay, Amelia asks, what are your guesses, realistic or otherwise, for what Club Nintendo will be replaced by? Well, I'm not even that familiar with Club Nintendo anyway. It sounds like the last few months of it.
Club Nintendo was a system where you got a code.
Exciting?
Eh?
The last few months hasn't been that exciting in terms of what it offers.
It hasn't been
right?
exciting for years.
Okay.
You got a code, registration code in the box of every game and hardware. You registered it on Club Nintendo, and you then redeem earn stars, which you could then redeem towards bonus.
I bet you've got loads of stars, haven't you?
I got a fair amount of stars. The problem is though they never updated the catalogue, but the stars expired after a certain amount of time, and they never warned you unless you logged into your Club Nintendo account and went into your account bit and said these stars are expiring at the end of the month. They didn't send you an email that said you ought to spend these quick. Yeah. I lost thousands of stars for that. I was like, well, what's the point?
Sounds like another shiter Nintendo attempt at doing the internet.
What was the best thing you ever got from Club Nintendo?
It's like shit nectar points, basically.
I got this cool little. It's like a Super Mario Brothers figure, but it's like Bowser and Peach and Mario and Luigi and all that on this single thing. Burnsy's shaking his head like, what the hell is that? But it's a nice little collectible thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
I only ever had enough for I think it was like notebooks with a line drawing
the notepads
Princess
were
Peach
shite.
and Toad and whatever on them. And
what did you have to do to earn that then? How many games are we talking? How many stars would that be? For
this is after buying a 3DS XL.
Fuck, you would have thought that would.
And about 15 games. What? So I think I had the last time I looked, wasn't there a Game & Watch collection for the DS that you could?
I think there was. Yeah.
I think I had just enough points for that, but then I'm like, well, that's shit.
Yeah.
Anything decent would require you'd have to buy the entire fucking catalogue for the Wii U or something before. Actually, no, that's probably. You have to buy the entire catalogue for a console that's got games. To get anything decent.
That sounds like piss.
The thing is, Club Nintendo was different to Nintendo Network, even though you could link the two up. I imagine they're just going to unify it. That's all under your Nintendo Network ID.
So I just want to apologise to fans of the Wii U for what I just said.
Yeah. I didn't think you meant it. Sounded like you meant it doesn't have good games on it, but you meant that it just doesn't have a huge.
I was just taking the piss. Okay. It's not true. There's lots of very good games on the Wii U.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Don't know how it would differ though. Why if they go down a premium route? £40 a year.
What, like a loot crate thing?
No, like Xbox Live and PSN. I can't see how they would, or what.
I don't know that they've got the online support to justify that.
No, exactly.
Have you seen that loot crate shit?
Yeah, I don't really get the appeal of.
Why? What is it? Tell me.
Basically, you pay this company a certain amount of money per month.
$15 a month.
$15 a month, and every month they send you a loot crate.
Well,
there's this little box.
Yeah.
And it'll have a selection of
nerdy items.
I was going to say I don't like to use this word, but a selection of geeky accoutrements. You might have a little sort of you might have a little sort of Star-Lord or Groot from Guardians of the Galaxy, a bobblehead, and perhaps an issue of a comic and a poster of fucking the Punisher or some nonsense. So basically they send you an assortment of shit so that you don't know what you're getting until you get it.
Well, Jim, fortunately for myself, I read about this in Bloomberg Business Week last week. About how
this is why people say these things.
There was a feature on Loot Crate and its ilk.
Yeah,
and I think they were saying one of the original ones was something for like was it like makeup or something, and so you got like a care package that you paid for,
sure.
And about how this market was expanding and how people were just like totally addicted to the tat. Absolutely addicted for like the $15 and talking about how much it was paying. It's quite interesting, really. But I'm not surprised there's one for so-called geek or nerd shit, because Forbidden Planet still exists. Do you know what I mean?
As an expensive shop,
as a brand though as well, the way it's marketed, the way it's named, it's so fucking cringy. It reminds me of a totally different kind of business, but it reminds me of when I first heard about the website Den of Geek and nearly fucking threw up into my mouth.
Dog.
Already much better. I think you just saved it there.
Dog shit.
But yeah, that whole Oh, yeah.
Then a geek's
I
probably
saw
alright,
Loot
isn't it?
Crate being advertised on Facebook, and I was like, "You've targeted this at me? What the fuck do you think I am?"
Yeah. But
so,
video game people have no self-awareness, though, do
we
they?
could start. I mean, we could start because I know, like, people who live on the fringes of civilization in towns like Leeds and Swansea.
Yeah.
And a lot of those people like coming to London as tourists and stuff. I'm thinking, well, save your money, give me 15 quid a month, and I'll go to the tat shops in Oxford Street and just fill a box full of fucking William and Kate fucking mugs and all that kind of shit. And I'll send it to you. Yeah, exactly.
George the happy baby.
Yeah.
He's a smug little prick.
There's going to be another one soon, isn't there?
He's a fucking despot in training, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's a little bastard.
He's quite well dressed, though.
I can't believe. I don't think we could even. Is it even legal?
Why can't you say that? This isn't the 1800s or even the 1600s.
Yeah, it's not treason.
It's not treason to say that a bunch of fucking benefit scroungers who fucking living in a castle in the middle of town.
I'm not getting involved.
I'm not even saying I'm arguing for a republic here.
I think that is a naive look on the royal family.
The royal family, a bunch of fucking degenerates, the lot of them.
Blimey.
Allegedly.
Prince George already died. He's only a small child. He might be a nice chap. It could be, he could grow up to be...
Of course he's not a nice chap. For a start, how old is he? What, 2?
Is he already 2?
All 2-year-olds all 2-year-olds are dickheads.
True.
I've had to, and I've got a 19-month-old, and I can attest to this. But yeah, every time he's in the papers, you always have like, fucking William and Kate took him to some daycare centre.
I saw this.
Australia or whatever, and then they interviewed the other parents up there, and all the other parents are like, yeah, he sort of takes control of the room, and he knows his own mind. It's like, yeah, because already he's lived a life of fucking privilege that is unfathomable to anyone who isn't born into that system.
I feel sorry for him.
The reason
already.
he takes toys off other kids is because he can't fucking look at something without thinking it belongs to him, because everything he fucking looks at belongs to him.
Hold on, are you talking about Charles
he's still a
or
2-year-old
George?
child. He's still a 2-year-old child.
He's a fucking arsehole already.
This is so unfair.
Listen, life's not fair. Hence why they live. But I don't envy the royal family because they've got this weird life. They've got this gilded cage.
They're prisoners to their own.
They are prisoners.
Weird system.
And they're prisoners, which enables them to just go around and do whatever the fuck they want because legally, I think they're absolutely.
You want to be the
untouchable.
second son every
the
time,
spare,
without a doubt.
You want to be Harry,
because
and the spare.
You get like the wealth and the ridiculousness of it.
Yeah.
But no actual
Infamous
media pressure.
Infamous second son,
starring Prince Harry.
That's the DLC.
I mean, he is the infamous second son, isn't he? Quite literally.
James Hewitt's the main bad guy. Touch me, topical jokes.
No, that's been thoroughly debunked because James Hewitt said he wasn't the father.
Oh, right.
Because he said it. That's that. That's that dealt with now.
Right.
What are your thoughts on Sid Meier's Starships? Asked Pete Lectro.
I don't know enough about it.
It's got Sid Meier in
Sounds
the name,
like
and it's got
fucking royalist
Starships
propaganda to me, quite frankly.
I'm trying to get away from it. God damn it. Okay.
I'm worried it's being set up to be more of a mobile game than a PC game.
Yeah, I don't like that he's launching on iOS, but yeah, Starships are cool. Sid Meier's a cool guy. Might be good.
Screenshots I've seen look very iPad-y as well.
That's what I mean, yeah.
And that's not necessarily a bad thing.
And is it a Beyond?
Some of the game that
is it a Civ spin-off? Is it Beyond Earth spin-off?
Same universe.
I thought you were going to say, is it Beyonce then, for some reason? Is
I
Beyonce involved?
What happened to Beyonce Two Souls? That looked amazing.
What's David Cage up to next?
Well, there's all those rumours this morning, isn't there?
Yeah.
Bringing Fahrenheit back.
Oh, yeah.
There doesn't seem to be much to go on at the moment.
Is he making
where the
another
rumours come
shit
from?
game?
Where you seen these
Someone
rumours?
found this website that had like the artwork or the art style of the original Fahrenheit box and all the wording that they used and all that, and it says 7 days. And he posted a link and a screen grab on NeoGAF, and he's just got one. That's his only post ever on NeoGAF.
Sound
David Cage?
Legit.
And someone's saying, but people have looked into who registered this website. It seems to be an agency that does register games websites.
Yep.
So who knows, basically.
Great, we get to play Fahrenheit again.
What?
What's your goddamn feet, Scammell? That's my mic stand. Listen, right, okay, you're being
Fahrenheit was
now.
great up until the third act.
Oh yeah, Fahrenheit was really
Yeah.
good. Was Fahrenheit the game where you went to the World War II prison as well?
No.
Wasn't there a bit where you played as a kid?
Is that Silent Hill 2?
No, there's a bit where you played as a kid. I'm sure you looked like a prisoner of war camp.
Oh, no. It was like, no, you were just growing up on an Air Force base. It wasn't a prison.
David Scammell on world history.
Got that confused with The Great Escape.
Your
there.
mum, I think your parents were in the armed forces.
It's a
and,
facade. It's a
yeah.
facade.
That bit was shite as well, though.
Yeah, it was actually.
The stealth bits.
No, and you had to save your friends from a fucking burning hangar.
Fuck off, David Cage.
And you had to. There was like an AI at the end. This is a spoiler. If this is an actual remake, don't listen.
Nobody's
to this
going
podcast.
to play it now. Like, what
Fahrenheit.
was it?
Fahrenheit was really good. The murder bit at the beginning and
Brilliant.
all that stuff.
Brilliant.
Great. Was that the demo as well?
Yeah.
I think
It was
Really
brilliant.
good.
Like when people are knocking at you on the door of your flat the next day, and you're like you're having to get the washing machine on, and you want to get dressed and stuff, and that really tense. That was amazing stuff. And then you start seeing fucking fleas everywhere and like giant insects, and
But then it does that classic David Cage thing of suddenly sex. Like there's no reason for it. There's no build up. Suddenly, oh yeah, let's just have sex on a train. Why not?
Well, that's what the chapter was called, wasn't it? And then the shagging. It just sort of happened.
The shagging.
Yeah. That stuff in the diner and everything though was fucking incredible.
The diner bit was
Yeah.
amazing.
That is such like every David Cage game seems to have just an incredible start.
The amount of stuff he could do with that now in terms of the branching narrative and all that. He could that game. I'd love to see that again, but who knows? Who knows what it's going to be? Because everyone thought.
The twist in Heavy Rain was fucking bollocks, wasn't it?
Do we talk about that?
Yeah.
I haven't played it, so I don't know. It feels.
I mean, but when you
We
think
don't have to describe.
when you think about it, it was so obvious. But yeah, but everyone's expecting Beyond to come to PS4. Whether this is a curveball or it's a load of old bollocks.
I would
I don't know.
Beyond every single copy of it to be buried, and then that
Can I-
part that's been buried to be hit with a nuclear strike.
Can I
quite like to
confess
give it a go.
something?
What?
I really enjoyed Beyond.
Did you?
I liked it.
Did
yeah.
you suffer a gigantic
You liked Assassin's Creed Unity.
blow to the head?
At no
shortly
point, at
before-
no point was I thinking this is a really well designed piece of interactive fiction. But I enjoyed it.
Did you enjoy the bit where you turned up and
I
met
really
the
liked the
Native
central
Americans?
character. I thought it was like a shit film with good bits. Emphasis on film. But yeah, I mean, I love the stuff where I love the bit where you're the homeless chapter where you're kind of trying to survive.
Yeah, that
in the
one's not
winter
too
and
bad
stuff.
actually.
There are some good bits. It's just they're knitted together in a really nonsensical way.
The bit I saw at E3 where you're with the soldiers.
Yeah.
In the
It's
Middle
just
East,
rubbish.
or is it
Like-
Africa? Maybe
Well,
are you in Africa?
yeah.
Oh,
I can't
yeah.
remember.
That was difficult just because it came out of like if you
I was like, what
played
is
that on
this?
its own, there's no
This
context.
is not what
for
I was
it.
told it was going to be.
The bit where none of the powers make sense anymore because the powers have to fit the plot. So you've got a hostage situation. It's like, why don't you just do that thing that you do against all the other guys and choke them
No,
remotely?
this is the hostage part. Of the
No,
game.
The twist
I've
in
got a.
funny enough, thinking about it, the twist in Beyond was a load of shite as well, and like immediately obvious from the first fucking scene.
Yeah. And then, do you remember when you infiltrated the Korean sub base dressed as a Korean commander, despite the fact that you're like a 6'3", your facial model is actually that of an American male model in actuality, and you're walking past the Korean soldiers and they're like, General, shut up, Cage, nonsense. When you stay with the Native Americans, of course they've got spirit powers, because Native Americans, what rubbish. Some good moments though.
Some great moments.
Like many David Cage.
What did you
What
give it for?
4.
That stuff on the Indian reservation, though.
Piss.
What the fuck did that even tie into?
Nothing.
Like it was just a thing. It was like, all right, so this it just goes X-Files for a bit, and then
Yeah. Shiter. Next.
no.
All right. Well, we are probably about to wrap up the podcast.
I
You want
saw a
one more
complaint
question?
last week that said it wraps up too quickly.
Yeah.
Maybe we should drag it on for another hour.
Wrapped up too quickly. It was a solid hour of shit.
Yeah, but
None
they
of us
wanted
had
they
played
never
anything.
wanted it to end.
Well, I don't know. So, but
Let's just keep talking.
I had to
not-
just hit the stop button on the record because Dave would refuse to say goodbye.
he keeps doing this. He did this with a Drive
Club.
Club video recently. You are a troublemaker, sir.
I'm just trying to give the people what they want.
More Dave Scammell.
How come you guys make content that's more fun than any other sites and more swearing too? Well, you've answered the question there.
It's because we're real people.
We cover it with swearing. It's actually not.
It's because we're not owned by a gigantic conglomerate that goes, no boys, no fun, no
Who
no
said that?
naughtiness.
Mr. C. Brat Esquire.
Don't
Seriously, it's just because we're like everyone else in this world. We just play games and
Exactly. And talk a lot of piss about them.
See, there we
Really.
are. That was a good example of
we don't
using a
think
swear word.
we're anything special. We don't think we're above everyone else.
We're definitely above David Cage, mate. Trust
I don't
me.
know.
I think Burns thinks he's above.
I
everyone.
don't think
I don't know.
that.
Steve Burns, director of Hubris.
Yeah.
Director of... Well, it depends which day it is, you know.
It depends which Steve Burns.
I'm not good on Mondays, for example. Mondays are, you know, an odd one. Don't like to be disturbed on Mondays, you know.
Well, cool. I guess we will actually wrap it up now. Sorry, Dave. You're going to have to just deal with that for the rest of your life. Thank you very much for listening to the Video Game UK podcast. And
Bye.
Cheers.
Bye.
Why do we have to go?
Because it's fuck's sake, Scammell. We've been doing it for an hour and a quarter.
But I don't understand.
Because we're supposed to be doing other stuff as well today.
What have we got to do today?
It's
Run me
not
through the
just the
plan.
podcast.
So very David.
Tell me what we're
Tennant,
doing.
Well,
isn't it?
you're
Where do you wanna go?
news editor of VideoGamer.com.
Yeah,
correct?
but I am. Yeah.
So, I mean, presumably you're going to write some sort of news.
I know, but I can delegate that.
Oh, God, the power's gone to his
Just gonna
head.
Exactly.
Right, okay.
Let's go and upset Brett.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Let's
that'd be
go and
good,
get
wouldn't
that
it?
big
That's a
shotgun,
hobby, isn't it?
Let's go and get that shotgun. Nerf
Stuff
thing,
crunchy
shoot
nut up
him
his
in the
arse or
fucking
something.
head.
As I said, we've got work to do, Vince.
Yeah.
Let's work.
Yeah.
So, all right, cool. Well,
I wonder how the Oris are doing.
Oh, please, I want to just stop. Can we, you make it so difficult.
I've got to edit 35 minutes of Burns talking about Resident Evil
Yep.
down to about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Jesus.
And Burns talks
A lot of Resident
about
Evil.
Resident
Yeah.
Evil. So.
Myself and Brett played The Escapist.
Right. Look.
Yes, yeah, that's an upcoming video.
Yep.
We
I'm
can
not
cross-promote
sure
it.
this line is going to make it into the video because Christopher Bratters is editing
He's
it.
going to say something.
He's going to say something
mean about me,
outrageous.
isn't
But you can't say The Escapists without saying